For about 20 years, a single 8-page document quietly told the entire world how to build a password. One capital letter, at least one number, a special character, and change the whole thing every 90 days. Billions of people obeyed it. Your bank obeyed it. Your work obeyed it. You obeyed it. And the man who wrote that document has since said, out loud, in public, "Much of what I did, I now regret. Those rules did not make you safer. In a very specific way, they made you easier to hack. You know the ritual. You try to sign up for something, and the little checklist appears. Needs an uppercase, needs a digit, needs a symbol, minimum 8 characters. So you type something like capital P, small a, with an @ sign, SSW0RD, 1. And it feels like security. It feels like the more tortured and unreadable a password is, the harder it must be to break. That feeling is the entire trap, because the thing that actually decides whether a password survives an attack is not how strange it looks to a human being. It's how many guesses it takes a computer to stumble onto it. And it turns out those two things, how clever it feels to you and how hard it is for a machine, have almost nothing to do with each other. In fact, quite often, they pull in opposite directions. Here's how a password actually gets broken. A cracking machine does not sit there thinking, what would this person choose? It just counts. It grinds through possibilities as fast as the hardware allows. So the only thing that protects you is the sheer number of possibilities it has to grind through. Security people measure that number in a unit called entropy, counted in bits, where every single bit doubles the amount of work. 10 bits means 1,000 guesses, 20 bits, 1,000,000, 30 bits, 1,000,000,000. The bits are small numbers, but they hide enormous ones behind them. And now the cruel joke at the center of this whole story. The complexity rules did not grow that number of possibilities. They shrank it, because when you force millions of people to add a capital and a number and a symbol, they all reach for the same handful of tricks. The capital letter goes at the front. The letter A becomes an @ sign. The O becomes a 0. The number and the symbol get stapled onto the end. Attackers know every one of these habits, and they build them straight into their software. Take a password like TR0UB4DORN3. It looks genuinely intimidating. It carries only about 28 bits of entropy, and a normal, off-the-shelf cracking rig works through it in roughly 3 days. Now here is the part that flips the whole thing over, and it comes from a famous internet cartoon called XKCD. Take 4 ordinary, randomly chosen words. Correct. Horse, battery, staple. No capitals, no symbols, no clever swaps. Just 4 plain English words in a row. That carries around 44 bits of entropy. And the leap from 28 bits to 44 is not a small upgrade because remember, every bit doubles the work. 16 extra bits means 2, doubled 16 times, about 65,000 times harder to crack. The scary-looking password falls in 3 days. The 4 little words, by the same estimate, hold for something on the order of 500 years, and you can actually remember it. The intimidating one was the weak one the entire time. And this is not a fringe opinion. It is exactly why the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, the very agency that published those original rules, went back and rewrote them. They threw out the forced symbols. They threw out the change every 90 days rule, because in practice, all it ever did was turn spring 2024 exclamation mark into summer 2024 exclamation mark. And they raised the one thing that genuinely matters, length, now recommending a minimum of 15 characters when a password is standing on its own. They added one more quiet rule too. Check every new password against the giant public lists of passwords that have already leaked in previous breaches. Because the fastest crack of all is simply trying the passwords that millions of people have already used. So the whole ritual was upside down. Length beats complexity, essentially every time, for one clean reason. Length is the one lever an attacker cannot take a shortcut around. There's no clever habit to exploit in a password that is simply genuinely longer, and the forced resets didn't add security. They quietly drained it by pushing everyone toward tiny predictable edits and yellow sticky notes on the monitor. But I want to be precise, because this is where people overcorrect. The four words trick only works if the words are actually random. A memorable sentence from a song is not random, and a machine will find it. So the real playbook is boring, and it is not a secret. 1. Use a long passphrase you can genuinely remember. 2. Use a password manager so every single account gets a different one and you never have to. And 3. Turn on two-factor authentication so that even a stolen password isn't the whole game. Long, unique, and backed up. So the next time a website scolds you for not adding a symbol, understand what's really going on. A strong password was never the one that was hard for you to type. It's the one that's hard for a machine to guess. And after 20 years of being told otherwise, it turns out those two things are very nearly opposites.